He's like, please go back to stream on Twitch. You guys are going to get like 30 views. I was like, I've calculated this. I was like, our tournaments have done better. I was like, trust us. By the time finals came around, we had 160 people watching. And then he typed in chat. He's like, this is more than 30 views.
They're bots, all bots.
That was pretty funny. Well, what's nice is like I explained to him, I was like, on YouTube, unlike Twitch, like we have intermissions, right? Because it's like it's an online tournament, bracket needs to catch up. I was like, people can just pause the tournament, go do something, come back, and then skip through the intermissions.
Yeah.
And then I can see how, and like YouTube, it tells you how many people watch it on playback.
Yeah.
Half of our viewers were watching it on playback.
Yeah.
It's like, so we had like a busy chat, but then like we also had half of the people like actually utilizing YouTube as a tool, which was cool to see. I like that. I like that a lot. I feel like I need to do so much more research.
Where's I sent a tweet out. Where'd it go? What it should have been, I would be like the grand reveal was like, that was me. It was me all along. Refresh. I'm the one that said you're only gonna get 30 viewers on YouTube. Feels weird, man. But they've definitely caught up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was a good tournament. I liked it a lot. Oh, perfect. I got everything. I got everything ready. Alright, I want to make sure I tweet it out as well. I got so many tabs open right now.
Not only multiple tabs, I have multiple windows.
Why do I have a Twitch channel?
Currently have 1, 2, 3, 4. Not gonna count that. 5, 6, 7, 8.
There we go. Dope. Okay, pull this up. Pull this up. We are live. We are at it. Back at it again with the LFTG Podcast. Ready? We missed, sad to say, it finally happened. It finally happened. We finally had to miss a week. I am having a change of career that I will talk about at a later time, which forced me to be out of town and away from my setup. And Mike has been super, super busy with a change of career himself. I mean, both of which, once it starts rolling into it, we'll start talking about it. But that transparency so far, that's what happened last week. I'll tell you where I was. I was in Wisconsin, and I was like, oh, hey, if you want to do the podcast, if you want to do the podcast by yourself, I was like, you can.
It's funny because you messaged me. I had no idea. You messaged me. You're like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm out in Wisconsin. I've got this thing going on. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah.
I was supposed to be back before. That's why I didn't really say anything about it, because I was testing out my waters. I was just making sure that the feeling was right, and I was supposed to be home the day before, or at least early that day. Ended up not working out. We had to miss a week. And because of that, holy moly, we have a lot to catch up on. Luckily, we had the CDL show before. Also, Will English came on as a guest. If you guys didn't get a chance to check that out, after this, go back and watch episode 28. It was a banger. This second week is too. You had to miss 2 weeks. You missed 2 weeks in a row.
I missed 2 weeks in a row. I got compromised right before the CDL major, but I get to tune in and watch a little bit towards the end of it while it was still live. I thought that was super cool. Obviously, big fan of Will English and what he was doing with the Invitational and supporting the Overwatch community, and then also having Lefty over from Espo. We had 2 special guests last week.
Yeah, Lefty's sick. I like Lefty a lot.
That was cool. That was very cool to see. So now I feel a lot more confident if I need to step away. And then I messaged you on Saturday and was like, hey man, why don't we just try and bang one out real quick? That way we don't miss a week. We've got our whole thing is like, we haven't missed anything. And then you're like, I'm at a barbecue, and I'm like, okay, we're cool. We're missing.
I was having a barbecue. I was moving out of state, so we got a couple of friends together and we watched the fights that night. Okay, episode 29 of the LFTG Podcast. If you guys do not know, we talk about esports and all that other fun stuff. Anything in the professional gaming world, we kind of cover. We explain it to you. The quick scope is 2 minutes, rapid fire. The reload is we talk about for 5 minutes. We have a really long topic tonight about the CDL and Call of Duty update. But before that, let's talk about what happened over the weekend. We watched the fights. Not only did we watch the UFC fight, at the same exact time, Jake Paul boxed Ben Askren. And I like Ben Askren a lot. I think he's a great internet personality. He was a great UFC fighter, Bellator and ONE FC champion, a fantastic wrestler. A lot of people say it was rigged. I don't know did you see the highlights? I know you probably didn't watch the fight, but did you see the highlights?
I was gonna say this is the best thing. Like I'm at no interest in watching any of that entire promotion, aside from the fact the commentators are pretty hilarious. Production value is really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say the production itself's really good. It's pretty entertaining. A lot of musical acts. Bro,
but yes, I did see the clips. I saw the highlights afterwards.
I've been trying to warn people. Jake Paul can throw a punch. He's been trained. The difference from his first fight, from then till now, is astonishing. How night and day different. I mean, if you guys don't know, I watch a lot of UFC. I like to watch boxing as well. And once you watch enough of it, you can kind of get the sense of when someone doesn't know what they're doing. And Nate Robinson had no business getting in the ring with Jake Paul. No business. Ben Askren, as an MMA champion. I had a little bit more business getting. It was like he's not a boxer. He's never been known for his striking. He's always been known for taking people to the ground. But the one thing he has been known for is having a chin. He got a right hook from the heavens sent down on him. Jake Paul blinded him with the jab, and when you don't see a punch coming and you get hit in the side of your face, right in your temple, it's going to knock you out. And the way Jake Paul maneuvers himself very well on the mat. A lot of people say it's rigged because they thought the ref called the fight early. If you go back and watch it, what the ref did, and I agreed with, was he helped Ben Askren up, grabbed his mitts. He's like, "Can you fight?" Took a step back and asked Ben to take a couple steps forward. Go back and watch him try to walk forward towards this ref. It was, I mean, I'm glad the ref called the fight. I don't think it should have continued, but I think people need to give. I do not like the guy, but that doesn't matter. Jake Paul can fight. I do not like him, but he can fight. So I'm interested to see who will fight next. I figured we would talk about it. I mean, it's almost in the space. It's internet personalities. It's almost there. You have a lot of people in the esports community talking about it just because it's an interesting thing, and I'm buying the next fight, hands down, down, buying the next fight. I bought this one because I like Ben Askren. I didn't think he was gonna win. I had zero faith in Ben Askren, but I'm buying the next one. No matter who it is, I'm buying it. I just want to see, and I think Jake Paul's handling his boxing career very efficiently. People are thinking he needs to throw down with these champion level boxers right now. It's not the case. It's only his third fight. When was the last time you saw any professional boxer fight like a champion in their third fight? That doesn't happen. Give the man a chance to prove himself. Let him work a little bit up, and then by the time his sixth one comes around, we'll start talking about that. But anyway, let's roll into the usual. I mean, do you have any comments? Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it at all?
I saw the highlight. Yeah, I saw the finishing blow.
What did you think?
I mean, it looked legit to me.
I was like, oh. I was like, we're all sitting there watching it. We're like, oh no.
Not as legit as the other finish where the guy hit the weird body blow where it wrapped around the other guy and then they went down.
Yeah. Well, the fun fact, Nate Robinson lasted longer in the ring versus Jake Paul than Ben Askren did. So I don't know what's happening. But like you said, speaking of fighting, we got some interesting topics for you. We only have 2 quick scope topics for you today, just because, like I said, we are going to cover all Call of Duty and CDL as best as we can. I kind of condensed it, but let's talk Project L. Hit me with it.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't remember, obviously when Riot had their big announcement, we're earning our S in Riot Games, meaning they're going to have multiple games. A lot of those we've already seen come to fruition. So Wild Rift is now out. Valorant is now out. A lot of these games that we saw on a lot of these projects, we've got a lot of information on. The last one that we haven't really seen anything about is Project L, and that's actually their fighting game. Right. So for anybody that's not aware, the Cannon brothers, who actually own EVO, or one of the original, organizers behind EVO, are actually developing this game. They had a game studio previously, and they had released their own fighting game. They were developing it called Rising Thunder, and Rising Thunder was supposed to be a very simplistic, I don't want to say watered down, but a very core mechanics, very easy to pick up for anybody to learn fighting game, with the primary focus of it being played on PC on the keyboard. So you didn't need a fight stick. You didn't need an Xbox controller. You didn't need a PlayStation controller. All of those were obviously available to you if you wanted to. But their whole premise was this is going to be the easiest way to get people into fighting games. Well, when their studio got bought out, Rising Thunder became no more. And now that's technically what Project L is. So Project L is a League of Legends. It's a fighting game based in the League of Legends universe. So we've already seen a little bit of snippets about it, but the reason I think this is big news is because they're actually inviting people to their studios to do in-person testing. And this is the most important part of recent development with any fighting game. So we've worked a lot of events before. We know that localized testing is a huge thing, especially with Guilty Gear Strive. That was out at events Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, literally they're getting direct feedback.
It's 6 months before the game came out.
6 months before the demo got released.
That's true.
Like,
yeah,
online.
I didn't think about that until now.
The whole premise, you know, they did the same thing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Like, basically every major game developer for fighting games knows that you have to do in-person localization testing. You have to get as much feedback as you can for balancing. And so this is a very promising step. This means that they're basically at their build 1.0, whatever we want to call it. Like, this means that we're very, very, I would say by the end of the year, we're actually going to get at least a demo release.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, this might, I love the FGC. This might make someone in the FGC mad typically, but do you think this could be the game that really propels the esport into like what? I know it's a far loaded question.
I'm going to put it like this. I haven't had conversations. I haven't had that exact conversation. I've had that argument. Project L, there's literally two frames of thought. One, right. Either it's going to completely outtake every other game in the fighting game genre. It's going to be huge because it already has the built-in audience from League of Legends. Internationally, it's going to do incredibly well. It's going to bring a whole new berth of players in. But then there's the other train of thought that it's like, they're going to have their own esports scene and it's going to be a riot. And like, how many locals are going to have like PCs, like how many, you know, people bringing in laptops and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, there's two trains of thought. I think it's going to make a huge splash.
Do you think they bring this game to console at all?
I think they bring this game to mobile before they bring it to console.
No, I mean, no, but they should, but do you think at all that they would bring this game to console? I mean, cause you got to think the people over at Riot, they're starting to dabble in the FGC, right? And my conversation piece is we can spend a little bit longer time on this. Cause I think Project L is an important topic. I don't know if the game's going to be good or not to be the best esport. What I mean by FGC esport game, but what I mean by will it take over as far as Riot support goes? Because there's a big difference between Riot supporting something and then Namco supporting something. Like, there's a big difference. Exactly. Or like NetherRealm. Like, the prize, I think this could be the first game where we see the prize pot for anything outside of EVO be comparable to other bigger esports, I should say.
See that, and if you really like, let me put on my conspiracy hat here. Let me you know, conspiracy.
I'm going to send you a foil hat just in the mail. USPS is going to be like, what is this?
foil hat time. So as I mentioned, Tom and Tony Cannon,
right,
who are one of the original set of founders for EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, we know recently was acquired by PlayStation. So maybe that makes it more likely that we will see Project L have a release on PlayStation and be cross-compatible with PC.
I think if they're consulting with the right people, I think there's no way this doesn't go to console. I think... And this could be the first real FGC esport that we see crossplay done well and right.
Oh, you are incorrect because you have not been playing Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Okay, I said
not only is that game fully rollback netcode, but it is cross-compatible. Okay. Switch, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Stadia.
I'm talking as far as the top of the FGC chain. Do we see... You're so funny, dude. No, but do we... I mean, like, I'm comparing it to games like Street Fighter, not freaking Power Rangers. I mean, like, is this the first big, popular title that is fully crossplay? I think it has to be. I think that's the trend that, like, esports is kind of going towards. And... I mean, you guys know I love Call of Duty, but Call of Duty and Fortnite really sent us down this spiral train of if a game comes out, like the new Battlefield, I'm scared for the new Battlefield because if it's not crossplay, it's dead. It's dead. Immediately it's done. Same with Halo. If you can't play it on Xbox and PC, it's toast. Don't even release the game. Don't bother because it's not gonna last. It's not gonna stick around. Which is like, it sounds very rude of me to say, But I believe that in my core. If it's not crossplay now, it's toast.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I just feel like I feel like of the information we received so far, I really only see Project L coming out on PC.
Okay.
Because that was the whole focus with Rising Thunder.
I mean, Rivals of Aether did it though. They did all of their tournaments on PC. I mean, and what else? Brawlhalla, right? Wasn't Brawlhalla played on PCs?
Brawlhalla, I believe, was PlayStation for the most part.
It was PlayStation for the most part.
There were a couple lands that were PC, but yeah, I think.
But like the Dream Hacks, were those on PC, or am I mistaken?
I know those were PC now that I recall.
I mean, so we've seen it done. We've seen. I mean, because Brawlhalla started to have success, like major success.
It's fine at a big scope, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you come down to like the locally weekly community tournaments, like even it's like, you know, you go onto Reddit or like Facebook, you know, it's like, you know, like local Denver Project L players, like people aren't going to show up for events.
I mean, who knows? Maybe the landscape changed over the pandemic. A lot of people spent those stimulus checks on PC parts. I mean, I delivered for Amazon. I cannot tell you how many pre-builds I delivered. If I see one more NZXT box floating through my van, I'm going to lose my mind. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll go ahead and move on to. I mean, we could talk about Project L all day. I thought Project L is something a little bit more special, something that we could have spent more time on. But let's move on to a platform that we recently moved away from. It looks like they had a little bit of a bot issue.
We could call it a bot issue, but the fact that okay,
it's clickbait.
Let's do the real quick. Okay, so Twitch has very transparently announced that they over 7 million bot accounts that they had deactivated just in the last month. Now, the whole premise with that is like, obviously, like just like with any other social media, you could buy followers, you could buy viewers, you could buy XYZ. And so, again, like this is an esports focused show. So the reason that I feel like this is big news is because I actually have a good friend of mine that was previously working for a client that literally, I mean, he could literally to the minute, he'd be like, hey, tune into the stream that we're doing. And we're talking like major level esports, right?
Right.
I won't say the name of the organization, but like major level esports. And he's like, hey, take a look, see how much viewership we have? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm about to hit the button. I'm like, what are you talking about? Literally a growth of 30,000 viewers. I don't know, in the span of 1 minute.
Why are you telling me this, dude?
Not only, you know, the whole thing was like XQZ and, you know, a lot of other streamers are like, oh, well, you know,
say his name.
Well, no, that's from a personal streaming standpoint. Like there are major personalities that are like, oh, it looks like their viewership took a dip. Maybe they were caught in with these bots. You know, maybe they were paying for views or paying for follows or whatever it is. But even outside of the scope of that, I don't think anybody else is really looking at this as far as in terms of like actual esports viewership. Like, because that's at the end of the day, that's one of the most important analytics that you get from any of these esports events. It's always after the event is done, here's concurrent viewership, here's how many impressions, here's total watch time, all super important metrics, especially when it comes to like sponsorship and really like establishing your event or your tournament like as one of the higher echelon, like a blue chip event. Right. So like if there are big name organizations that were actively, and I mean this is like 2017 going back that far, if Twitch is just now deactivating a lot of these bot accounts, I will be interested in seeing how this potentially affects viewership. I think with the pandemic it's a little different because there's the spike in viewership already.
Yeah,
but you know, there's
maybe that's why. Maybe they're like, hey, we finally have enough natural viewership. That
I'm thinking the opposite. I'm putting the tinfoil hat back on. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe Twitch working with these organizations were like, hey, we need viewership to go up because obviously the pandemic is happening. Our viewership's crashing. Maybe that's where we got all the spikes from. Probably not. I believe the truth in the numbers, but but literally watching. He tells me he quote unquote hit the button and a growth of 30,000 viewers. And we're talking about a stream that already had like 50,000.
You know, we're going to have to talk about this later, right? Yeah. Because I just need to know. No, I mean, I figured something like that was always happening. Like, happens. I mean, I see it on Twitter all the time. Twitter has one of those bot followerships, man. And same with, you see it on every social media platform. And when you have something that has a follow button or views, I mean, it's probably happening on YouTube. It's probably still happening on Twitch. They probably just hit up another third party that can just get more bots. You know, I think banning bots isn't really like a solution to this issue, just because if they can make 7 million bots, they can make 7 million more bots. Like,
yeah. They have the bots making bots.
Right. Soon. Yeah. and then LCS World is going to be at 30 million viewership. No, I think it's crazy. I think it does worry me with the story that you told me. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit more innocent than that. But I mean, so it's a good thing, you know. Hopefully it puts a little bit of dent in some viewerships that weren't completely natural. I mean, honestly, really, what you can look at on Twitch is who's really being the most watched and is really being the most engaging is their sub count. Because I mean, there might be some bots and some sub counts, but then again, like, where does that money come? I mean, that's just money coming in, and you're gonna have to take away from somewhere. So it's either I would just look at the sub count, you know, not actual viewership itself. I mean, since we're talking about Twitch a little bit, I guess we can bring up the Twitch sub record was finally broken, stripped away from Ninja. So congratulations, Ludwig. Ludwig, if you guys do not know, he was part of the Smash Brothers community. Kind of came up with Slime. Slime was also the production manager at Beyond the Summit until Slime quit to do financing for Ludwig. You know you've made it when you take someone off of a production team to do your financing. So congratulations to Ludwig, and hopefully those bots weren't in his channel. But let's go ahead. We're going to move on over to finally to the reload. We got finally the season has started. Overwatch. We've been kind of anxious for the season to start for a bit, but let's go ahead and talk about the future of Overwatch as you labeled it yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about here. And I didn't want to just, you know, the big topic that everybody's talking about right now is Jeff Kaplan officially announced leaving Blizzard. 19 years, literally the face of Overwatch. You know, it's literally, if it's not Tracer, then it's Jeff Kaplan. Like, really, you know. And there, I don't think there's really been. I'm trying to think. Like, even more recently, like, technically, you had like Gandhi with Rogue Company, like, where you literally had one person, one representative that was just like, hey, here's the update for the game. This is what we're doing. Just like super personal. Like, you're sitting down having a conversation. We know, like, Halo's kind of done that a little bit before, but like nothing like Jeff Kaplan was like, you knew when an update was coming, you were going to get a sit down conversation with him. So pretty crazy. And part of it for me is it's slightly concerning just because we are in technically a transitional period. Like, we're still seeing the original Overwatch for Overwatch League. So all these questions about Overwatch League or Overwatch 2, like, didn't see a lot from BlizzCon, didn't see a lot of updates, and it's just kind of a weird position. And like, if I am a team owner, if I have stake in the Overwatch League, I'm gotta be feeling pretty uneasy right now. Now, there's probably a lot of things like internally, and it's not like Jeff Kaplan leaving is going to destroy the whole foundation of competitive Overwatch or Overwatch in general.
I mean, you see management from the CDL bouncing over to Overwatch as well. So I think Overwatch is still going to be in good hands. I mean, I'm assuming the teams wouldn't be too worried because if something serious is really happening with Overwatch 2, I'm assuming these developers and the people that are running League Ops would have these conversations with the team and letting them know, like, hey, we know you have your investment with us. I mean, you would hope those conversations are happening. Like, I'm pretty sure if the NFL was going under, they might slip the Cowboys like, hey, just a heads up. Watch out. I mean, and you haven't seen any turmoil yet. I mean, I'm assuming this is a product of the times. I don't know. Did he say why he left specifically? Because he's been pretty transparent before, and this is like the one thing that worried me a little bit because I didn't really see anything of why he left. Was it Did he at least say? Did we at least know for a fact it was like on his terms?
As far as we know, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I saw on social media, his like kind of press release and kind of comments was, yeah, this is 100%. He's like, hey, just I'm not leaving on bad terms. I'm just kind of leaving. It's time to go. I had a great time working at Blizzard. Maybe he's going somewhere else. Maybe there's a new project he's working on. I don't know, but that's that it's kind of an interesting time because like we also had this past week we had the start of this season of Overwatch League, and I tuned in. So again, like they have the deal because of Activision. They're on YouTube exclusively.
Right.
It's kind of unique. They actually had 2 channels that were live at the same time. At least when I tuned in earlier in the morning. So they have like the West games and they have the East games. And so when I clicked on and I was watching early in the morning to watch the East games, viewership was around like 75,000, which I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's early in the morning, like viewership will probably be higher, later on in the day, and it was. When I tuned in when the East was participating in doing their games, the concurrent viewership was around 110K. And just for my own edification, I actually went on to esports charts afterwards and looked, and they have it listed. Peak concurrent viewership was 113K. I think that might be a little low, but I mean, if I tuned in and it was 110, then that's probably accurate. But it seems like viewership wise, they're doing okay. It's just weird that it's like, okay,
I feel like that's normal for Overwatch viewership though.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that it was going to be higher. I was thinking it was going to probably be closer to 3, but only because a couple of factors. One, pandemic growth. Because of the pandemic, we've seen growth for viewership and everything. So it would only make sense to happen with Overwatch League. 2, they are now the second game right after Call of Duty to actually implement in-game drops. So I figured that would entice more people, even if they weren't actively watching. I'll turn on the stream and I'll link my Blizzard account and I'll let it run just because I want skins, whatever. But I wouldn't say that that's like alarming. That's not like, oh, the viewership was terrible. No, the viewership was great, especially compared to other events and things that are happening. But it's just kind of leaving me like, where are we going right now?
This is the first time really during the pandemic that we've seen like a season being played out, right?
Right. Yeah. That's what I was gonna. That's yeah.
Because you saw Worlds take place over, but it was weird because they were like in the same area.
Correct. Yeah. So last season, so to say, the Overwatch League Worlds did happen. And if I recall correctly, both teams were in China, but it was still like, it was virtual set. It was basically how we're seeing everything
right
now. So, but at the start for this season, it's like, okay, we're still playing the original game, which we've been told multiple times there's going to be no new characters. It's okay if they're still doing like balance patches and stuff like that, but it's like now we're kind of like, okay, the game is in its current state and that's where it's going to be.
Right.
So it's like, how... obviously it's better for competitive integrity. And that was kind of part of my issues with the first season of Overwatch League, where it's like, okay, like we have like 2 or 3 weeks of competition. And then it's like, and new character or new map or changing this. We got to take goats out.
As a COD fan, that's like so normal to me. Right. Especially with GAs. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it just changes all the time. We just can't learn anything.
So my big areas of concern are, one, they're still playing the original game, which is fine. I don't think it's terrible. It's just weird that it's like we have this promise of Overwatch 2, and it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? We haven't seen a lot about Overwatch 2. Even at BlizzCon, there wasn't like a whole lot. There
was like nothing.
And now Kaplan leaving is like, I don't know.
Do you think there's too much of a lull? Because I feel like now that I recall, they didn't even really hype it up. Because I follow all the teams on Twitter, and I follow the league. I follow the league on Twitter, and like. When the event caught me off guard. I was like, "Oh, this is happening. This is happening right now."
Funny, because I was going to use the term blindsided. Like I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, no, it should be starting up right now."
Like I feel like when CDL is coming out, and like same with Overwatch. Like I follow the players, I follow the league, and follow the teams because it's a esport I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And it was just like the CDL was just like. Tomorrow. And then it was like in 2 hours, in 1 hour, it's in 30 minutes, 15, 5. And it's like, oh, bro, I know it's like, I know it starts tomorrow. Like, relax. But with Overwatch, it was like, oh, it's today.
Yeah.
Do you think it was too long? Do you think it was too long of like a lull? Like because everyone's obviously hyped for Overwatch 2. We all want it. We're ready for it. We think, hopefully. Do you think it was too much of like, because they were silent for a bit, like Overwatch League just kind of didn't really say anything. They would do like community stuff here and there, but they never really were like active. It was almost like Paris Legion. They would just like retweet some stuff. And then like 4 months later, like tonight on youtube.com/Overwatch. Like, it's like, they're furiously typing. And it's like, I'm seeing the tweet 3 hours later. Like, do you think they could have done a better job, like promoting it? And like, I think that could be it, which sucks to say.
I think, I think part of that is like, I know for myself personally, like I said, like I was blindsided. I kind of echo your thoughts as well. Like I had no idea that the new season was starting.
Okay, at least I'm not crazy.
Because I actually I got the alert. It was like the YouTube channel went live, and I was like, huh. And then when I went into it, I was like, oh, is this the first week? Is this the season? Actually, oh, okay, all right. And then like I said, like I watched it for.
I would have had predictions. We would have had predictions or something. We would have done something. But it's like, because we love league formats. That's like, I love it. I don't know how you feel about it. I love league formats. I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm like, I like San Francisco Shock. I like who they're owned by, and I like that they're a winning team. You know, I just like I follow. They do a good job, but those are esports of the future. Let's talk about something in the past a little bit. Break this one down. You're cracking your knuckles. I love to see it.
I'm stretching a little bit, primarily just because I feel like this is the old man segment, the old crotchety esports veteran out on his porch yelling at you kids. So it's a very interesting, like literally talk about blindsided out of nowhere. There was an interview that was posted on esports.com, again esports.com, with Angel Munez, who I'm sure that not a lot of people. Alex, do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. The original founder and owner of a little company called the Cyber Athletic Professional League, or Cyber Athlete Professional League.
Yep.
One or the other. I can't remember. I'm making fun of people for not knowing stuff, and now I can't remember. But yeah, it's one of those things that the CPL was plagued with a lot of. I don't want to be too negative. In hindsight, the CPL and specifically their owner was plagued with a lot of turmoil. There was a
unawareness.
Lot of stories, players not getting paid out, losing sponsors left and right.
Yep.
I've seen a handful of interviews with Angel Munez himself that I'm just like, man, this guy has something a little off. I've never personally interacted with him,
right?
So I don't want to take too much of a shot there. But I did think it was funny that this article, like, he's been completely gone from the scene for quite a while. I mean, probably like 15 years, if not longer.
I mean, it's crazy. Just the amount of time that you just said.
Yeah.
It's like people aren't even.
He's been out of the scene for like half my life.
Yeah. Before esports was a word, really.
I think he was actually the one that coined it. I can't remember, because his whole thing was like cyber athlete.
Yeah, I don't even think he said esport.
Electronic sports. These are cyber athletes. But I digress. But what's interesting to me is you saw this article come out, and then it was like, for the most part, there was like, oh wow, this is super cool. Like, I had no idea esports was a thing in 1999. Like, this is really interesting. And then people going back and like, wait, this was on MTV. Like, this was on TV. Like, seeing all this stuff. And I'm like, that's cool from a discovery standpoint. But then you see a lot of the old heads, a lot of the OGs replying to the article, replying in Reddit threads all over the place. Just like, oh, not again. Please, Lord. Like, I thought we got rid of this guy. Never want to see this guy again. And, what's crazy to me is like, thinking back on it, like there's so much history. There's so many lessons that should have been learned. You're doomed to repeat the past, kind of stuff. And it's so crazy to me. And it honestly got me thinking. There was specifically, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. There's a new platform called Upcomer. And Upcomer has a lot of what I would say are very prolific esports journalists that are, part of their vision is like, every website out there is like, we're the groundbreaking news. This is the news. We're dropping all the info on the latest esports topics and tournaments results and blah, 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 blah. Upcomer is like, we kind of want to mix it up a little bit, and we want to cover esports history, and we want to do these long form articles and videos and things like that. And I was like, okay, this is super cool. And then they released an article that was talking about partially the history of esports and things that was going on. And they're like, oh, well, before Twitch was a thing and before internet broadcasts and blah, 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 blah. It's like, are they not aware that this has been going on way the early 2000s? The fact that there was a website by the name of Gotfrag that eventually was bought out by MLG. I'm sure that's it. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are more familiar about it. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. It's nobody knows that before the ESPN Esports, which is no longer a thing, it's defunct now.
Right.
Gotfrag's tagline was it was ESPN of gaming.
Yep.
And that was their whole thing. They didn't even call themselves esports, even though that was the buzzword at the time.
Right.
Esports was all over their site, but it's hey, here's player interviews, here's VODs, here's live tournament coverage. You can come to our site and you can actually watch the tournament live. There are forums. It was to me, that was the atmosphere. Literally, you couldn't get any higher. They were super big on Counter-Strike. Literally, it used to be HLTV, and then Gotfrag to me were kind of 1-1.
Yeah.
But if you wanted Counter-Strike news, you went to both of those sites because they were just so good at it. But then for a short period of time, I actually worked on staff doing Quake coverage, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then eventually, they got bought out by MLG. I don't know really what happened with it after that, but it's dead now at this point. And it got me thinking again. It's it's so crazy that it's we literally, there's a second, if not third generation of esports viewers, players.
I think we're in the third and fourth gen. Easily.
Right. That have no idea that this stuff previously existed. And that was the other thing too, that, one of the other things that I brought up, and I mentioned it in a tweet, was there was an organization called TSN. And TSN was originally the Tribes Sportscast Network. And they were the first, there were a couple other organizations out there, but to me, they had the biggest impact because they were actually live at these events, doing live broadcasting with commentary, full graphics, player cams, the whole 9 yards. And then you could later on catch those VODs. And that was another reason that Gotfrag was so great too. It's oh man, I missed that tournament. Okay, I'm going to go back and check out the VOD. Not YouTube, not Twitch, no other, platform like that at the time. And it's basically formed, the kind of ecosphere as we know it for esports. And I don't think enough people kind of know about it.
Well, it's weird because you have that era, because the era you're talking about, especially the whole cyber athlete thing, completely forgot about. Completely. Yeah. I mean, you could even go back before that when they had the Nintendo World Championship. That was a thing. People forget about the Nintendo World Championship was a thing.
Yeah.
And it was a traveling circuit, and then they had invitationals, and then it was this whole thing, and then you have the cyber athlete thing especially with the Counter-Strike boom, and then people still don't. People now, I'm starting to realize, they don't know what MLG is anymore.
No.
They're oh yeah, Frosty, right? He played on Florida Mutineers last year. They're oh yeah, Frosty. Why don't we bring back Frosty? He was such a good Call of Duty player. I'm this guy's literally a 2-time world champion in Halo.
Yeah.
He's won some of the biggest tournaments. He's one of the most winning Halo players already. And he has some of the highest paid earnings, which is almost as high as Crimsix. He almost has as many dollars as Crimsix in video game earnings through Halo, and that's post MLG era. And it's bro, it's there's right. I feel Halo 5, right when Halo 5 ended, people forgot about MLG. Like, people forgot about, like, even MLG COD, like, people forgot about. It's so weird. And then there was UMG. Back in the day, like, UMG, like, had decent-sized tournaments, and then what other circuits? Like, there was a Counter-Strike circuit that was happening for a while. Oh, my gosh. I had the
We have, like, the old, like, you have, like, ESEA. Like,
ESEA.
Even enough, Cal, the other, basically
Mountain
the
Dew?
online, the online competitive portion of the CPL, Cal, like a lot of people, like that was so prolific back then. Like everybody talked about everybody. I don't know anybody that wasn't involved in esports back then that hadn't actually like created an account and done something with Cal, which is the Cyber Athlete Amateur League.
Right.
That was supposed to be the kind of the minor leagues portion to CPL.
That's crazy to think about. Yeah, no, I haven't realized that. I haven't had a conversation about any of that in. I mean, there's one guy outside of you. There's one guy that I've talked to, that I've met, and he was like, oh yeah, 2006 Carbon was good. Yeah, I was like, oh. Yeah. Outside of the players on Carbon that I've talked to, like,
I think that was Andy, because I think that was a conversation, the director of esports for Golden Tee, because I think
Andy. Okay, yeah. So there's two. I was gonna say there's Andy and then Chris Brown with Pokemon.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, those are the only two people out there like, yes, those days I remember. And even Andy was like, yeah, I know, I really came into Halo 3. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, 2006, baby. That was the best team that ever lived. Yeah, no. I mean, I would be interested to see sites doing more of a history. Maybe every now and then you and I will have to write a history piece. That would be kind of cool on stuff that we're passionate about. Maybe I could do a piece on 06 Carbon. You could do a piece on something in Quake, most likely. You'll probably bust it down quick.
The whole thing that prompted this conversation was that actual article. So if you guys, I would suggest go out there and read it, because it's interesting, because there's a lot of, they do talk about a little bit of the controversy, and it's interesting to at least see, like, they talk about primarily, it's like, how was it that you lost, like, because back then, like, Intel was like their major sponsor, right. And part of the thing with the article is like, oh well, how do you lose Intel as a sponsor? And he goes into that.
Oh wow, okay.
It seems. Excuse me, it seems pretty genuine. So, and the cool thing is, this is a part, it's just a 2-part interview. So this is part 1 that was released, and then the other part is going to be released on the April 26th.
Okay.
So I'm excited to go back and lock at it. And, I'm definitely going to give it a watch. I just thought it was interesting that it's like, you see this thing posted, and like, the reception is either like, I don't care, or it's like, wow, I didn't know esports was around for this long.
Right.
Or,
I remember.
Just because of the circle that I run in, there was a lot of, negativity that was brought up because of this article. But it's fascinating. And that's, there's a lot more history to it. And like, like, even within my own ignorance, which I'm fine to declare, like, there's so much stuff that happened in Europe and Asia as well, that's like also coinciding with all this. So like, I don't know the full story. Right. And I don't know the full history. So I always, anytime I can see an article or watch a little documentary, or even books, there's so many books now out on esports. Like, anytime I can learn something new, I'm just absolutely excited by it. So good article, maybe not a good subject, but definitely got my wheel spinning. Maybe fall back into the early 2000s.
Mike, you're gonna hate me. I've never done this before.
Okay.
I really have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Give us a brief little history piece real quick, and I'll literally be right back. I am frustrated with myself. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hold it, and then I was like, oh, we gotta talk about the CDL.
You're good. I can share.
I'm gonna run.
Yeah. So here's, I'll tell you guys an interesting story, just because it's kind of along the same guidelines. So, one of the things that I mentioned that's featured in this article is that the CPL had more sponsors, like really, really prolific sponsorship, before a lot of these other major kind of tournaments started popping up. And they had Intel was like the big one. they had Nvidia, they had Razer, like literally as Razer was a startup company at the time. But the interesting thing is that, as mentioned in this article, like Intel was literally paying, the numbers were upwards of millions of dollars, basically over the course of this partnership deal with the CPL. So like Intel, Nvidia, Razer, they also had like some other like more non-endemic, like I think there were like sodas and energy drinks and stuff like that. But what's interesting is what they mentioned in the article is that around 2005, when Intel basically pulled their sponsorship from the CPL, there was a new organization that started that was called the World Series of Video Games, WSVG, and their main sponsor was Intel. They had a lot of other sponsorship as well. It was a very, I don't know how to put it. It's funny looking back at it now because like at the time I was like, this is it, World Series of Video Games. This is going to be the end all be all. They had tournaments for everything. I mean, they had Fight Night, which is a boxing game. It was like Fight Night Round 3. They had Project Gotham Racing. They had Counter-Strike. They had Quake. They had Guitar Hero, which is like a funny one back then. 2006 was the year they started. 2007 is the year they did Guitar Hero. And there's a lot of like memes and inside jokes with that specifically. But it's now going back and looking at the timing of that, because it's something that I don't think I necessarily picked up on, was that when Intel pulled their sponsorship from CPL, they immediately latched onto WSVG. And from there, WSVG, 2006, 2007, relatively successful. They actually ended up having a condensed version. It wasn't live, but they actually took a condensed version of, it was WSVG 2007, Louisville, Kentucky. CBS actually came in and filmed the event and then edited it down to it was a half-hour TV special. So it was showing like, these are the tournaments that's going on. This is how a bracket works. This is blah, blah, blah. And then they show like highlight clips from like, okay, here's Counter-Strike, here's Guitar Hero, here's this, that, and the other. And at the time I thought it was great. I thought it was revolutionary. I thought that, that's exactly where the industry was heading. And then you had the economy tanked towards the end of 2007 there. So like 2008, 2009, basically like Intel started pulling its sponsorship money, and a lot of those other sponsors did as well. But one of the smart things that Angel Munoz did do is he ended up actually selling off the CPL prior to that really like collapse of the industry, because you had at the time, you had like CPL, WSVG, you had ESWC in France, you had World Cyber Games, you had all these organizations, and literally like in the blink of an eye, almost in the span of like 3 months, due to all the sponsorship being pulled and basically the economy kind of tanking, all of these organizations just kind of went like blew up overnight. I think like, I don't know why I'm thinking about it, but GGL, Global Gaming League as well. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. But yeah, it's very important that I don't think a lot of people recognize that the way that esports used to work was that you had an organizer, you had basically an event that would happen, and then that was their whole main goal, was you had to get attendance to basically cover costs and pay for everything. You would get as many sponsors as you could and try and pull that in. And then as soon as all of that went away, then it really became an issue of how is this sustainable? So where now you have these developers that are creating their own ecosystem. They realize it's a marketing strategy. Literally, esports events at the end of the day are just a commercial. That's really all it is. It's literally just promoting to get you to play the game, buy some new content, DLC, skins, whatever it is. That's really it is at the end of the day. So yeah, when Intel pulled their sponsorship from CPL and shifted over to WSVG, and then the economy tank, like that was a really, really dark time. That was to me what I would say is technically the second bubble. I know I refer to it all the time as the second bubble, but I don't think we're really seeing that now. So
I feel like you closed that story out very well, because I came in and I was like, I know what he's talking about.
You could go back. You could go back and watch it.
Easily the most disappointed I have ever been on the toilet. This is me, dude.
You didn't take your phone in?
I didn't want to, dude. I was too disappointed.
Wow.
I was too disappointed in myself. I couldn't believe that happened to me.
I have a rule actually that anytime I use the restroom, I don't take my phone in.
Why? Why is that your rule?
One, because to prevent the spread of germs, I don't want to be on the toilet while I'm on my phone. I don't want that in there. And then two, just as a distraction. I'm in there to do business and leave.
I feel it.
I had a good friend of mine actually say to the CEO of Blizzard at the time, we had worked a Hearthstone event, and he's like, I just want to let you know you invented the best shitter game ever. And I was like, oh, I can't believe there are people that do that. There are people that are probably playing mobile games on the toilet all the time.
Oh yeah, that's my Twitter time, dude.
It's
gone. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. Hopefully it never happens again. But I was sitting here, dude. I was starting to sweat. I feel it coming through my hat, and I was like, if it doesn't happen now, it is going to happen now.
All good.
So sorry about that. But let's hop into the CDL. Thank you for indulging us, though, with that beautiful intel and cyber athletic story and then polling. I'll have to definitely go back and listen. But it is time. CDL, well, we need to recap. We need to recap Major 2 real quick. So let's go ahead and run through that. How many points did you get for your pick'ems?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me look at that. Let me see. We're currently in the London home series. We are now, that was the Paris, correct? Was that the Paris home series? No.
Go. You have to go all the way up. It'll say stage 1, 2, 3. Click on stage 2.
Okay, I see it there. Yep. Loading. I'll tell you this. I did not think Optic was going to skunk out as hard as they did.
Same.
Let me take a look. Let me actually make this full screen here. So for Major 2 bracket, I received a total of 13 points.
Really?
Wow.
All right, so I won that.
Stunk it up.
So I got the 5 points from it. Because remember, that's a rule. Whoever gets the most, the major, gets 5 points.
12, 13. Yes, I did.
How many points did you get for LA Gorillas home series?
For LA Gorillas?
Mm-hmm. The home series.
I got 14.
You got 14?
Yeah, I'm on a downward trend. So I started for stage 2, the Toronto home series, I got 20 points. For week 2, I got 19 points. For LA Gorillas, I got 14, and then I just
How many matches did you predict right? So if you click on LA Gorillas, it will tell you what ones you got right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6. Okay. So 5 added for
5
you.
out of 10. Oof.
So you got 9. And then I got 1.
I'm going to hit you with the real talk. Are you ready?
Yes.
I am very behind. I actually did not know the results of Major 2 bracket. And I have to let you know, I'm sitting here, just how you were just kind of squirming there because you had to use the restroom. I cannot believe Dallas beat FaZe in the final.
You mean Toronto?
Toronto? No, this is showing me that Dallas Empire in the finals beat FaZe 5-3.
In stage 3?
In stage... Oh, no, I clicked stage 2.
Oh, no, that was your prediction.
Hold on. No, what is happening here? No, I clicked on stage 2.
Uh-huh.
And my prediction... Hold on. It's still loading again. My prediction that the final was going to be FaZe 5-2, and it's showing me that the winner of that series was Dallas Empire 5-3.
Yeah, that's not... I don't know what is happening on your pick'ems. That's not how it unfolded.
Okay, winners round 1. Was it Optic versus Ultra and Subliners versus Dallas?
Yep.
Okay. So that showing is correct.
So your pick'ems shows what you predicted, and you'll get points for when they. Yeah, I don't know why you got points for that then.
Oh no. Okay, I do see. Yes, that was Ultra.
Yes.
My apologies.
Okay.
The Ultra, just because their logo is black and white, it like blends in with everything else.
So we have our updated scores. Now that we've tallied up the last 2 weeks since you were here, I have taken the lead, baby. 43-39. Thank you, Major. Thank you to the Major.
What'd you say? Is it 43-29? Is that what you said?
39. Did I say 29? Okay. I wish it was 29. Okay, so let's go ahead and recap the second major. We're going to talk about round one real quick. We're going to talk about losers round one, then winners round one, losers round 2, 3, and then winners 2. Whatever, you know what it is. So losers round 1, we had Mutineers versus LA Gorillas. This was, I believe we predicted Mutineers to win that. Mutineers looked pretty solid at the end of the stage 2, like their division games. So they win the first match. Good job on them. A lot of people counted LA Thieves out. A lot of people had Paris winning this match. However, I did not. LA Thieves ends up 3-0ing Paris. So
brutal.
Good. Yeah, pretty brutal. LA Thieves, if you do not know, Temp and Slasher have both hit the bench in for Venom and Draza. We have winners round 1, which is Optic versus Ultra. Ultra win that first match 3-1, and that is not the only match they win. We have Empire versus New York. Empire wins 3-0. It looked pretty easy. We have round 2, Seattle, baby. I knew they were going to do it. I said they could do it once. They could do it again. They beat Florida Mutineers 3-1. The first game was pretty good for Florida, but I don't know what happened the rest of those games. They fell apart. Seattle looking pretty strong. I do say so myself. Then we have London Royal Ravens end up taking 2 maps against LA Thieves. LA Thieves, again, showing that they're a little bit of an underdog. We have losers round 3. Optic, 3-1s. Seattle. I mean, that's pretty reasonable. I'm happy that Seattle took a map off of that. Then we have LA Thieves 3-2 over New York Subliners. Another kind of an upset. Then we have FaZe playing their first match of the weekend, 3-1 over Ultra. We have Rocker playing their first match of the weekend as they were the first seed coming out of their division. They fall 3-2 to the Dallas Empire. So a very close series. I believe it came down to round 11. Now we have losers round 4. Rocker versus Optic Chicago. Picture this. Game 5, round 11, 1v3 search and destroy. Your accuracy, you turn the corner, you start shooting, and you just don't stop holding the trigger because Optic Chicago lined up perfectly for accuracy to get the 3-piece. Rocker take that in a very close set, 3-2. Toronto Ultra end up 3-0ing Thieves, stop their losers bracket run. They won 3 in a row, so they came good little run by LA Thieves. Losers final, we have the Rocker versus Ultra. Ultra win that pretty decisively, 3-1. Winners final, we had FaZe versus Empire. FaZe wins that 3-1. FaZe, again, looking super solid this year. However, we have... Oh, wait. That was the loser semis. Then we have the losers final, Ultra versus the Empire. Ultra smoked the Empire. Mm-hmm. Empire just kind of looked disorganized. I noticed, especially in the hard point, it looked like they were challenging one after another. They never really regrouped as a team. Ultra looking super good. And then we get to the grand final. We have Toronto Ultra, the underdog, playing against FaZe. Toronto Ultra whips out the gunnies and 5 threes. And the big... Here, they had to beat Optic. They had to beat LA Thieves. They had to beat the Minnesota Rocker. They had to beat the Empire and FaZe to win this event. That is the hardest possible bracket you could think of getting. The only one that you can possibly say is that they would have had to beat the subliners, but they literally beat all the top 4 teams. They beat every single top 4 team because Rocker's there now. It's wild run. So we're going to move on to that. We're going to hop into challengers for a little bit. E-Star and Subliners Academy are both 2-0 in their in NA. And then in Europe, we have Amelia and Elevate are both 3-0. So that's who the top 2 teams. Built by Gamers and TMNT are in the elimination spot, 0 and 2. And then we have Team War and Pushing in Europe in the elimination spot. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Call of Duty. If you guys did not know, when you logged on, you had a 23 gig update you had to do this morning because there is a slamming update coming out, bunch of new maps. We have Yaman 2, which is a 6v6 map coming to multiplayer. We have the classic Black Ops 2 map, Standoff, my favorite map of all time, coming to Cold War. We have Diesel.
More so than Firing Range?
Standoff. It's the perfect competitive map. You can play you can play Search, Capture the Flag. You'll probably be able to play Control, Hardpoint. You can play any game mode. It's like Raid. Kind of like Raid. Yeah. You can just do whatever you want on that map. And then we have a big multi-team map, and then we have Diesel, which is a firefight map. And it says they're going to play 6v6, so maybe it's about the size of Nuketown. New score streak, Strafe Run. I saw people using that in pubs today. The new maps haven't dropped just yet. We have the PPSH coming as a submachine gun. We have another TAC rifle, one more assault rifle, which will be coming mid-season, and one pistol, and a baseball bat. Why not? And then today, the map of Verdansk got nuked. And so tomorrow we'll be playing a new Warzone map. Big update. Speaking of the update, it comes with a couple of assault rifle tunings. We have the FFAR got a little bit of a buff, increased the magazine size and increased the bullet, the reload speed. Increase the ADS speed a little bit as well. So maybe the FFAR is going to come back instead of the QBZ as the flex weapon. The Krieg actually got a little bit of a buff. The increased headshot multiplier went from 1.25 to 1.4. So headshots cost a little more. However, the max damage was reduced from 35 to 33. So it basically just means for the Krieg, if you want to get kills fast, you have to get headshots. I won't go into too much more detail. The overall sprint speed for the submachine guns got lowered a little bit, and then crouch canceling is actually pretty much gone. They basically nerfed it out of the game. So I know a lot of people were happy to see that kind of go because that's a big barrier, and with the camera issues that Call of Duty has, basically whoever's sliding wins the gunfight. We went over challengers. And then, all right, pick'ems. Pick'ems for the round 1 of stage 3, baby. I got mine locked in just before the show. You had yours locked in for a bit now.
Yeah, I maybe should have went back and actually looked more at the results of from the last 2 weeks, just to be a little bit more on pace, because I'm still playing with the teams and their current rosters and their current game meta from a month ago. So a lot of these predictions, I'm just going to be flat out. I'll just let you know if they're terrible predictions, but otherwise it should be okay.
Here's the thing, though. I think this last weekend was pretty unique. I don't think anything too crazy. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say that because Toronto won. It was a crazy weekend for Call of Duty competitively, but I don't think it's going to be what's going to be happening in the future of the esport. I think it's still going to stay pretty the same. I think the top 4 teams are going to stay the top 4 teams. Let's get into predictions real quick, and then I'll bring up like 2 or 3 topics that I had about the CDL that I kind of wanted to talk on. So Thursday, our first match is going to be Dallas versus Paris. Do you want to start us off, or do you want me to start us off?
I can start us off. I'm still a Dallas fanboy. You know, I even my eyes deceived me when I actually looked at the final of Stage 2, and instead of seeing Ultra, I saw the Dallas logo and that they beat FaZe Clan. But I have them winning this set 3-2. It's probably going to be a 1-3-1, but at the same time, like I have this, weird inclination about Paris Legion. Like they're going to have a couple more upsetters. I don't know that this is one specifically. So I have Dallas Empire taking Paris Legion 3-2.
I basically had the same. I hadn't taken it 3-1. I think Dallas is having the issue, and I think they made the mistake of doing this for Toronto. We said it once on the podcast. I think they have an issue of playing down to their opponents. Mm-hmm. I think they're better. There's two teams that can't do that to right now that we know of. They can't do it to Ultra because Ultra can show they can take advantage of that, and they can't do that to FaZe. Those are the only two teams that have really been able to beat them. I think people are sleeping on Dallas a little bit. People are saying like, oh, they're washed or whatever. They're not a championship team anymore. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think they're still a very big threat. All right, let's see what we got here. Second match is going to be Toronto versus Florida, the champions versus the team that has been needing to mix it up a little bit. And they've also made a recent team change as well. I don't know who they're bringing on, and I'm assuming it's Havoc, but Slacked is going to be on the bench now. So they're going to have a new AR. I don't know who it's going to be, but they're going to have a new AR. What do you... Here's the thing. I'm going to say it. Toronto winning was a fluke. I think Florida wins this 3-2.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm calling it.
I went the opposite, and I actually said that Ultra is going to win this 3-0.
I'm calling it. Someone can yell at me later, but I'm calling it now. All right, now we have first match on Friday. Woo-woo! LA Thieves versus Seattle, baby. Seattle wins this 3-2, 100%. Without a doubt in my mind.
I have Thieves winning 3-1. But that's also just because I have
to hope they eat it. I hope they eat a wee-wee, a fat wee-wee.
For no other reason than I
hope someone breaks a leg on the way into the facility and someone has to sit out, dude. I swear. I'm just kidding. All right, now we have Optic Chicago versus London Royal Ravens. I have Chicago winning this 3-1.
I actually went with London winning this 3-2.
Oh, that's not unrealistic.
Primarily just because my perception from coming off Major 2 was that Optic performed really badly, and they could get caught off guard by London. But we'll see.
Okay. We have Paris versus LAG. What do you have going on in this? Because you've been on the Paris train, but then you hopped off it at the wrong time, and now you're coming. What's going on with you, man?
I think in regards to this match, Paris Legion versus Los Angeles Guerrillas, I think back on the high
back train. On the train.
I got them taking this 3-0.
You got to take it to 3-0?
Just because, again, my perception is from a few weeks back. Los Angeles Guerrillas was the worst team in the league. Probably not the case anymore because the meta and team swap, I don't know exactly. I'm not up to date, but I'm going to say Paris Legion takes LA Guerrillas 3-0.
3-0. I have them going 3-2. I have Paris winning though.
Okay.
There's something scaring me about LAG for some reason.
So I'm conducting the Paris Legion hype train, and you're in the caboose.
Yeah. I'm just kind of chilling in the back, just being like, all right, I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's see who we got next. We have Minnesota versus Florida. Did I do it? Okay, I didn't do it. I have Minnesota winning 3-2. Minnesota's just looking super strong, man. They don't look like the best team, but they look like a consistent team, and Florida hasn't. I mean, I know I have Florida beating Toronto, and that's a lot of people think I'll be crazy for that. And I'll probably get that wrong, but I just got that feeling, man. I got the feeling that Florida is going to do really well the first game, maybe get a little bit overconfident and choke the second one.
Yeah, no, and I get that too. I actually predicted the same score. Oh, excuse me. I predicted the same score for this one. I think Minnesota will take Florida 3-2. That's also as well. So let me put it this way. To me, Florida is my underdog team. I think that they have flashes of brilliance, but I don't think that they'll actually be a top team.
They just need to talk to each other, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
I don't know they'll break middle of the pack as far as the team ranks go. Minnesota, on the other hand, is a sleeping giant that is ready to explode at any moment, and it's just a question of when that happens.
I think they could quite possibly be a top 4 team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I really do think they could be. So I filled this out really fast. Mm-hmm. And I saw Seattle, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, no, there's 3. There's 3 next to that." So I have Seattle upsetting Chicago 3-2.
It could be possible. I actually have Optic Chicago taking that 3-1 against Seattle Surge.
Just like the major.
I feel like that's probably a little more manageable, but at the same time too, like I said, my perception coming off a few weeks ago was that Optic has not been performing as well. So it could go either way.
I mean, this team played the other week, and 3-1 is how it ended for Chicago. So I mean, you definitely don't have an unreasonable pick. I think Seattle. I think especially with this new update coming out, if the game is a little bit slower without this slide canceling, I think Seattle actually gets better from it. My only worry is I did see Pristini complain a little bit about it. I saw him, I was like, oh, no more slide canceling, but I think he'll do better. Same with Looney. I think Looney will do a lot better. Looney's kind of been that, like, I thought it was going to be Pristini, but Looney's kind of been that player is like, is he going to get this kill, or is someone just going to turn on him and burn him? It's been very frustrating as a fan, but pretty entertaining as a spectator. Then we have LA Thieves versus London Royal Ravens. I have LA. I'm super hot in LA right now. They performed the way I thought they were going to at the major, and I think they did spectacular things. I have them winning 3-1 pretty convincingly, actually.
I have that same score, but the opposite. Going back to Friday's game, I actually have London Royal Ravens beating Chicago Optic 3-2, and I have them now beating LA Thieves 3-1. So apparently my underdog pick of the week, even though I said like Paris Legion is my actual underdog, apparently London is my super underdog of the week, and I'm predicting they're going to win both of their matches against pretty iconic teams.
Well, they've had a lot more time now. I will say London's had a lot more time now to work with Paul X and figure out what they're going to do as far as strategy goes. I feel London's been a team that they've never really had a fourth until now. I mean, they had Hydra coming to the States, but Hydra couldn't make it. They subbed in Parasite for a little bit. And now they finally have Paul X, and this is going to be their 3rd week of actually teaming together. I don't think your prediction's outlandish. I think London could surprise us this week. I think it's going to be hard against a team like LA Thieves when you have 2 players with Venom and Draza trying to really prove themselves now they've gotten a shot to play in the Pro League. But yeah, I mean, honestly, now I'm looking at it, that could be a 50-50 match. I think either one of us would take that. Now we have Atlanta versus New York. Come on, son. This is 3-1, Atlanta.
Yeah, I put 3-1.
Yeah.
That was an instant lock too. As much as I love New York subliners, and I think they...
I want Clay to win. I want Clay to win the championship this year just to say he did it on a team. But come on. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right?
That's an easy 3-1 call.
Now we have the elimination bracket finalists playing each other again. I, however, as a logical man, I don't think Dallas is going to lose to Toronto Ultra twice.
Interesting.
I think they're going to say, you know what? Screw this, man. We can't be losing to teams like this anymore. I think Dallas is going to win this 3-2.
I have this predicted as a 3-2 as well, but I'm actually going against big dog team in the league. I'm going against Dallas here, and I'm saying that Toronto Ultra is going to take it 3-2.
All right, you have a lot of opportunities to catch up this week.
I will hope so.
You have a lot of opportunities to catch up this week.
Also have a lot.
This is the most different I think we've been during a 1, 2, 4, 5. We have 5 matches predicted differently. I mean, honestly, I think with the league and where it stands right now, I think a lot of these teams are really well off. I'll go ahead and toss this on the screen real quick. This is your schedule and my pick'ems. Obviously, they're 100% correct, so you might as well just copy me. So yeah, here's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then boom, Sunday. And your 2 game field matches. Hey man, if Seattle wins that's double points for me, baby. I'm taking those to the bank.
I didn't even think about that.
Taking those to the bank. I just little notes. Temp and Slasher sitting out. We're gonna talk about that. I think Seattle's looking really good. I think Seattle's kind of the underdog team right now. They're still pretty low in the standings. They kind of screwed themselves in the first 2 weeks. I think it's going to be super hard to catch up. And I think if they are going to catch up and get a top 8 spot, I think they're going to have to play really well these next few weeks and the major. And they're going to have to, I think they're going to have to place top 6 at the major at least, in order to catch up a little bit to those middle of the pack teams. And then Toronto, I put best team ? No shot. I think they're a great team. I think they deserve. I'm glad to see them win a major. They won a tournament last year as well. Again, beating Atlanta FaZe in the final. And that was the event right before Champs. However, when Champs came around, they fell short. I don't feel like this year is going to be any different. I'll be curious to see how Toronto performs this week. I still need a little bit more convincing. I know they just won a tournament, but they got to do it convincingly to really get my nod of approval. Mm-hmm. We do have an upcoming event that we would like to share with you. I just got to find it. Boom, League of Legends Wild Rift. Talk to me, baby.
Yeah, this is kind of came out of nowhere. So for anybody that doesn't know, probably know about it because it's literally the advertising's everywhere. But the mobile version of League of Legends, referred to as League of Legends Wild Rift, is out now. It actually, what's crazy is that it released intermittently. So it released in Asia first, and then it was out in Europe, and now it's out in North America. You can download the game, obviously just like League of Legends, free to play. But Trovo, which is probably the most, especially now that Mixer is gone. Mm-hmm. I know that we're streaming on YouTube, and we talked about YouTube being a premier platform now, but Trovo is really making moves. It seems like they've got it out for Twitch, and they have this community event that just kind of came out of nowhere, where they're doing Wild Rift. So it's literally the newest platform, the newest game, and Trovo itself, you could go check out their site. A lot of their streamers do mobile gaming. So there might be a potential here for this to be a really, really big undertaking. Yeah. And if it's happening this Sunday, if you aren't doing anything, hop in. It's free. $150 prize pool. Would like to see a lot more stuff like this happen. Twitch, obviously Twitch has events. We've seen Twitch has been doing a lot of stuff with chess and obviously Twitch. Did you see the Tyler One stream the other day for Twitch Rivals?
I did not.
They literally it was just people lifting, which was great. I thought awesome. It was super. It was okay, now we're doing the deadlift. And they separated them out into 2 teams. And it was literally community casters or community streamers from around Twitch where it's okay, I'm going for my personal rest. I'm trying to lift 280 pounds. Here goes my deadlift. And they just jumped around. So it was completely non-gaming, but it was cool because it was also educational. Mm-hmm. They were teaching people how to lift and stuff. I'm right. Okay, that's unique content. But I could really see I feel like this is the Sapperling. This is the little taste of what might be coming from Trovo.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been seeing obviously a lot of ads on Wild Rift. I've even thought about playing it myself. So I'll definitely check it out the game on Sunday and see if that's something that I want to do. I'm excited to see how Trovo, what Trovo's, because I haven't really been on it yet, so I'm excited to see like what their UI is like and how it kind of just functions as a platform, because that's a big thing. That's just how it functions on simple terms is.
I'll say really here's the biggest thing for me right now is they're like super like it's. I think they've only been around for like close to a year. But the crazy thing about it is like they have this like fully transparent, it's called the Trovo 500, where it's literally like instead of like Twitch is like you got to get affiliate, then you got to get partnered, and then you got to blah 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 blah. No, like they legitimately like here's the tiers. It's like bronze, copper, silver, gold, diamond, and it's like if you hit these metrics, which is like concurrent viewership, so many hours per week, so many this, that, and the other, you can actually be recruited into the Trovo 500. And they literally like, if you're in the top 500 of the Trovo 500, it's like you get, I think it's $8,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
And if you're at the tier below that, it's $5,000 a month. If you're at the tier below that, like super transparent. Because then not only that, but at the end of each month, they literally like, here's the leaderboard. So you can see where you stack up against the other
like
competition.
The game itself.
Yes, not just that, but it's like it's super encouraging to people, and it's one of those things I don't think enough people really know about it.
Yeah. All right, everyone, check out Trovo right now. Everyone, go to Trovo, check it out. I'm assuming it's an app you can download it on both Android and iOS.
Yes.
Go to download Trovo, Android, iOS, or just check it out on your PC.
Or it's, their website is trovo.live.
.live? Okay. Dope. And obviously the event that I'm going to be watching this weekend is going to be the CDL and the Seattle Sounders play on Saturday. They had their first match against Minnesota. They slapped them 4-0. That's right. And also this last weekend we hosted our final for our $1,000 invitational for our winter series for Halo 5 2v2. Septify and Frosty. They just won, man. They kind of took over. They had a couple of close games, especially in the winners finals, but they took over. They played their game. Legend and Shady, a team from France, ended up placing second place. Soul Snipe and Scary took third. They upset Bound and Renegade for fourth. Fifth. You have Luffy, Rorch, Demon, Vemsy. Seventh. You have Bacon, Halo Elite, Thin, and Pank. Remember, it was the top 8 teams that qualified through our 4 qualifying events. So it was a great turnout. We had 160 people watching at one point. So shout out to everyone that tuned into that. And it's starting to get late. I'm about ready to wrap it up. What do you think?
I'm ready as well. I thought, I'm really happy with, we're able to kind of pick it back up. Obviously, like we said, unfortunately, we missed last week. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
Hopefully, both of us will get to the point that we could tell everybody about it. But, another exciting week, another episode in the books, and definitely looking forward to next week as well, because there might be some more interesting news.
There's always interesting news.
Always interesting.
And as we think about the interesting news, let's go ahead and scoot into this microphone and let me talk to you for a minute. I mean, let's just turn the volume up. Some sweet DMCA free lo-fi music so we can stream it and not get taken down by the man. But speaking of the man, I just want to thank Mohawk Mike. I missed you. We missed a couple weeks being able to talk to each other. We had some personal stuff going on, but we were able to reconnect through the power of the professional gaming world and our love for the space itself and our love for you guys, everyone that's watching. And I just want to say, I love you. But I was refreshed, and sitting next to me, always kinda, but not really, especially for the last 2 weeks, is
Mohawk Mike. Did it seem like my beard grew to you? It seems
100%
like
grew.
I feel like not only did
I have
it,
3 kids now.
Yeah, right. It's like the last 2 weeks, I just feel like I'm even more like old crotchety old man. I feel like even more. So
talk about the history of esports. Get out of my face. Just kidding. But yeah, again, thank you everyone for watching. We will definitely catch you next week. I'm probably gonna break my news at the end of May, the week before the last weekend of May. That's probably when I'll break my news. But until then, we love you guys. We hope to see you next week. Make sure just send out the love, and we'll see you then. Bye.
See you.
See you.